All right, welcome everyone once again to a Librarian Starter Guide to Creating a Makerspace for Children and or Teens, Part 3, which is Extras and Engagement. So the first two parts are enough to give you a really great makerspace, but I just wanted to give a little bit more just to really give you a full view of what a makerspace can entail. So the first thing to really help you go the extra mile with continued lasting engagement in your makerspace, there are a few things. One of them is a sense of ownership. And there are several ways that you can foster a sense of ownership in the children and or teens that come to your makerspace. The first thing is to display what they make. Some children and teens might want to bring home their creations, and many of them probably will. However, some might want to see it displayed, or they might loan it to you for a set period of time if they want to take it home but also want to see it displayed. You can always work out a happy medium. So seeing their work in the space is a great way to have that sense of ownership. It's also a great way to get other children and teens and even adult family members involved and or invested in the space, because if you have one sibling who wants to bring the whole family to the library to show them what they've made, then maybe the other siblings will have a reason to enter the space for the first time and see how cool everything is, and it might kind of draw them in as well. And the parents might say, wow, we really love what's going on here. How else can we support? So it's great for them, but it's also great for you. So there are two ways that you can display creations. One is a physical display. That, though, you might want to supplement or complement with a social media display. And the reason is the social media display is great because it not only can draw people into the makerspace as that work is displayed in kind of that show and tell way, but a social media display can also reach people who maybe none of them are coming into the library. So, in that example I just gave, sibling number one is the one that's drawing the family in to show them what he or she made. There may be families where no children or teens are involved in the makerspace yet, and maybe they don't come to the library all that often because it's kind of far. So if they see something on social media, that's still a way that they can see what's going on in the makerspace without having to rely on the chance that they might come into the library and see something. So I definitely recommend maybe doing both in concert, the physical display and the social media display, because they do complement each other quite nicely. Then there's also ongoing input. What better way to foster a sense of ownership than showing your young patrons that you value what they want to see and their opinions, to the point where you not only will listen when they express it to you, but you will seek it out and you will ask them to share those opinions. So it's really important that you not only seek those opinions out, but that you listen to them and really truly take note and put those things into practice. If someone says, I really want to see more different sizes of canvas so that a lot of us can paint and have more options for when we paint and create in that way, and then they come in and they see those different sizes of canvas, that's a huge sense of value for them. It really increases their self-worth and their self-efficacy, that they can speak up for themselves and see results, and that they really have an investment in the space, and the space has an investment in them. Cleaning up is a great way to not only make your job a little bit easier, but that has actually been shown to help foster a sense of ownership in the space. When you have the children and teens who come to visit clean up after themselves, it's another way that they are putting their time into the space to make it a positive space. So that's how it kind of fosters that sense of ownership, and it's been proven to be very successful. And a lot of times librarians and articles that I've read who tried this approach, the children and teens were pretty receptive to it. And then last but not least, we have program leadership. So this is a little bit easier to implement with the teens, where they might have more familiarity with their class presentations that have given them some experience with public speaking or leading a program, something like that. But you can try it with the little ones as well. You can give them even little jobs like helping to pass something out, or collecting people's input slips when they want to give their opinions anonymously at the end of class. There are always ways. And giving children and teens that opportunity to lead in some way, however small or however large, is a great way to get that investment into that space. Another way that I think might be a really great way to just kind of extend that engagement to the next level would be to actually have some of your collection, your library collection, in the Makerspace. So I actually created a sample bibliography of Makerspace titles based on one library's catalog that I searched, and I just looked for a diversified list of offerings that I could put together for any makers who might want some inspiration or might want to learn how to do something but want to learn how to do it on their own, through their own research, if you will, looking at a book and following the steps on their own rather than having to ask a librarian. So the list that I put together here, there are some reasons behind some selections that I chose that I just want to point out that might be helpful to you if you decide to have a mini maker book collection in your Makerspace. One thing that's really important is I chose books that, when I had choices, if there were several different sewing books or several books on a topic, I made sure that I chose the books in the collection to highlight that featured a diverse group of children and teens, whether that was children and teens of different abilities, whether that was children and teens of different backgrounds and cultures, whether it was children and teens that are, some boys and some girls for a craft like sewing that might be considered traditionally a girl's craft, that, the boys can get some representation in there as well. You really want to choose titles that break down barriers by the examples they show and the photos they show of who's working on those projects. That's a big thing, and that can be a huge point of entry or discouragement for your little makers. You want them to be able to see themselves reflected in the makers that you're highlighting. So that's a big point. Another big point is you want to try to find books, if you can, that kind of mix and match different disciplines. So there were certain books that I found that had, building with Legos, but in an artistic way. So you're kind of mixing that building with that art. And that's a great way too, when those kinds of books are available, where you can have children who are interested in one discipline get drawn in, children who are interested in another discipline get drawn in, and they both get to experience the other discipline and potentially get really interested in that as well. So it's a fantastic doorway to not only reach more children, but also help them expand their horizons as well. And last but not least, I wanted to compile a list, a concise, not overwhelming, but also comprehensive list of some resources as a jumping off point for you as you continue this journey to create a makerspace, because as much as I can try to cram into this short time that we have together, there's so much more out there. So while I try to be as comprehensive and concise as possible, there are definitely other details that are absolutely worth investigating and other resources that will kind of dive a little bit deeper into some of the topics that, because of time, I was only able to touch on. So I've listed them here, as well as just I put a little note under each one as to what exactly it offers, whether it's grant opportunities, kind of all in one place, whether it's free lesson plans or program ideas. It's all right here for you, and I hope it helps. I hope you've enjoyed, and good luck making.